In this video, I will show you how to calculate the area and perimeter of various geometric figures such as these. First of all, perimeter. You know that perimeter is the sum of the lengths of all the sides. So anytime they ask you to find the perimeter, get ready to add up a bunch of segments. Now, if those segments happen to be horizontal or vertical, you don't have to do any special calculations. You can just count up the squares. So in this case, let's see, so these are 7, this is 7 by 7 grid. So I've got 5 to the right, 5 to the left, so this length is 10. Here I've got 6 and 5, so that's 11. Okay, down here I have 5 and 5, so that again is 10. So I have those three lengths. So the only lengths I have to actually calculate are these two diagonal lengths. And the way I like to calculate those lengths is to do the Pythagorean theorem. So for example, I could make a right triangle like this, where this segment is the hypotenuse of this right triangle. Now, the horizontal leg is 4, and the vertical leg is 8. So I could do the Pythagorean theorem for that segment would look like this: the square root of 4 squared plus 8 squared. All right, that is 80. So that length is the square root of 80. All right, so I just found that this segment has length square root of 80. So I'll add that to my picture. And similarly, I can make a right triangle where this segment is the hypotenuse, and that right triangle would look like this. Okay, so horizontally, the horizontal leg is 4, the vertical leg is 3. So this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So I actually know that's going to be 5. If you don't have memorized the famous Pythagorean triple 3, 4, 5, then you would have to again do the Pythagorean theorem, where you would do the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared. All right, and that will give you 5. So that's it. Now I have the lengths of all the sides. So if I add them all up, that's going to give me the perimeter. Okay, so that's going to be, well, 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 11 is 31, plus 5 is 36. So I've got 36 plus the square root of 80. Okay, that's 44.94. All right, did they give me a space for it? Okay, no. So 44.94, and I'll just put units to reflect that it's a length. As opposed to when it's area, I'll put units squared. Anyway, so that's the perimeter of the first shape. Now, for the second shape, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's start with the ones that I can just add up. Okay, let's see. So I see 6 above, 6 below, so this side over here is 12. This little horizontal piece down here is the length of 4. Okay, so now I just got to do these other two. So let's see, I can make a right triangle like this, all right, where this segment will be the hypotenuse. Okay, so this little vertical leg is 4. Now the horizontal leg, so it's 6 to the left and 6 to the right, so that is 12. So when I do this calculation, it's going to be the square root of 12 squared plus 4 squared. Well, that's 160, so that's the square root of 160. So that is the length of that particular side, square root of 160. So let's do the same thing for this side over here. Okay, let's just make a right triangle where this side is the hypotenuse. Okay, the horizontal leg of this right triangle is 8, and the vertical leg is also 8. Now I know this is going to be 8 radical 2 because this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, but that's information from a different video. So I'll just pretend like I don't know that, and I will just do the Pythagorean theorem. So this is going to be 8 squared plus 8 squared equals, okay, so 8 squared plus 8 squared. All right, so that's 128, so this is a square root of 128. Okay, so now I just need to add these all up for the perimeter. 12 plus 4 is 16, so I'm going to have 16 plus the square root of 128 plus the square root of 160. All right, 39.96. And again, I'll just put U for units to reflect that this is a length, not an area. Oh, but look, now it's time to find the area. Okay. Now, when you have a complex shape like this, the best thing to do is to split this up into some basic shapes that you know how to find the area of. So, for example, I might draw a vertical line right here. Now, there's more than one way to do this, guys. Okay, but if I draw a line like that, perhaps you can see that now I have 3 shapes. This is shape number 1, is this rectangle, and this, I could call it, this is shape number 2, and this is shape number 3. So I have a rectangle and 2 triangles. Okay? So I need to find the area of each one of these. So let's start with area number 1. Area number 1 is a rectangle. Okay, the area of a rectangle is base times height, or length times width. Okay, so the area of the rectangle is just maybe I'll start by writing the formula. Area 1 is going to be base times height. So that means area 1 is going to be, I know that the height is 11. What about this base? All right, the base I'm talking about is this right here. Okay, so what is that? So I've got 5, so that's 6. So the base is 6. So 6 times 11. Okay, maybe I'll just do this horizontally. So this will be 6 times 11, which of course is 66. So that's area number 1. All right, what about area number 2? All right, well, area 2 is a triangle. And the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so I'm going to have 1/2 something times something. So let's see. So in this case, the base I'm talking about could be this right here. So the base is 4. And then the height, all right, I feel like I need to start to clean this up a little bit. Okay, the height is going to be this right here, okay, that I just highlighted in yellow. That's the height. So let's see, what's that going to be? So that's 6, so that's 8. So this right here is 8. So the base is 4 and the height is 8. So this will be 1/2 4 times 8. Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 8 is 16. So area 2 is 16. What about area 3? Area 3 is also a triangle. It's also 1/2 base times height. So it's going to be 1/2 base times height. So I just need to see what the base and height is. Okay, let me just erase some of this stuff. Okay, so area 3, so here's the base and here's the height. Okay, so what do we have? The base, all right, is right here. That's 4. And the height, which is right here, is 3. Okay, so that is going to be 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Half of 12 is 6. All right, so the total area is just going to be the sum of all of these. Okay, so that's just going to be 66 plus 16 plus 6. 88. And I'm going to put units squared to reflect the fact that this is an area. Okay, so now we need to find the area of this shape. Okay, so now you have choices about exactly how you're going to split this up. Okay, I'm trying to think it through. Here are some of the things that I'm thinking about doing. All right, I could put a line right here, and I could put another line right here. That will give me the following 3 areas. All right, I will call this area 1, I will call this area 2, and I will call this area 3. So let me start with area number 1. Area 1 is a triangle, so that's going to be 1/2 base times height. Okay, so I just need to know what's going to be the base and what's going to be the height. So I could consider this to be the height, and so that's 4. All right, the base is all of this. Okay, so what's that? Let's see, I have 6 to the left and 6 to the right, so that's 12. So 1/2 12 times 4. Half of 12 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. So that'll be 24 square units. All right, how about area number 2? Area number 2 is a rectangle. All right, let me erase a little bit of this. Okay, so area of the rectangle, that's just going to be base times height. Okay, area of a rectangle is just base times height. So what's the base and what's the height? Well, the base is the 4 that's already labeled. Okay, because this is the base, and that's 4. the height is not labeled yet because this is the height right here. Okay, maybe I should move this 12 out of the way so you don't get confused. So let's see, this is down 6 and up 2, so that's 8. So that's 4 and 8. Which is 32. So 32 square units. Let's move on to area number 3. Area 3 is another triangle, and the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so what's the base and what's the height? All right, let me just clean this up a little bit. I don't think I even need this anymore. Okay, so what's the base and what's the height? I could consider this to be the base if I wanted to. So that's 6 and 2, so that's 8. And I could consider this to be the height. And that, again, is going to be 8. So 8 and 8. So 1/2 8 times 8. Well, that's interesting. Half of 8 is 4, and 4 times 8 is 32. So that's the same area as the last one. All right, so if I want the total area, I can just add these up. So that adds up to 88 square units. So for this problem, I need to find the perimeter and area of this square. They tell me it's a square, and that's going to help me out a lot because I won't have to find 4 different lengths. I can just find one of them, and I know they're the same because it's a square. So I'm going to pick the side RQ, and I can find the length of it by turning it into a right triangle. I can draw a right triangle that has RQ as the hypotenuse. So let's see. The horizontal distance here is 8, and then the vertical distance is 6. So if I do a quick Pythagorean theorem, that's going to give me the square root of 8 squared plus 6 squared. Okay, let's see what that is. Okay, 8 squared plus 6 squared. Oh, well, that's 100. All right, so that's going to be the square root of 100, which is 10. Well, that makes life really easy. So that tells me that this square has side length 10. So that means all of these are 10, which means that the perimeter is 40. All right, I'll say 40 units to reflect the fact that it is a length. Now, area will be equally easy. When you do the area, all you have to do is base times height. So, look, here's the thing. I could consider this yellow to be the base if I want to, and this can be the height. The base and the height just have to be perpendicular to each other. And it's a square, so these two are perpendicular to each other, so I can use these as the base and the height. So since the area is just base times height, that's just going to be 10 times 10. Okay, so the area is equal to 100 square units. Easy peasy. Okay, how about this one? Okay, so we're switching gears a little bit. Just in the sense that for a circle, the perimeter is not called the perimeter, it's called the circumference. All right? Because a circle doesn't have sides to it, but we still like to know the length of that boundary. But it's called the circumference. And so let me just say this to you. The formulas. The formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi times the radius. The formula for the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So you definitely need to memorize these two formulas. Okay, so what's the center and radius of the circle? So the center is going to be -3, 0. It's the opposite of this, comma, this doesn't have anything. There's no numbers to it, so that's why it's a 0. The radius is 4. Okay, 16 is the radius squared. And if the radius squared is 16, take the square root of both sides. The radius is 4. All right, now, I see this graph here. The directions don't tell me to graph, but I guess I'll go ahead and graph it just to be on the safe side. -3, 0. So there's the center. The radius is 4, so that means if I were to go up 4 and down 4 and left 4 and right 4, I should be on the circle. Okay, which means I should be able to draw my circle like this. So fine, I graphed it. So now let's talk about the circumference. The circumference is going to equal 2 pi times the radius. So that'll be 2 pi times 4. Okay, so that's going to be 8 pi, right, because 2 times 4, which is approximately equal to, okay, 8 pi, 25.13. And I'll just say units to reflect the fact that it is a length, not an area. Okay, now similarly for area, which is pi times the radius squared, so this will be pi times 4 squared. All right, 4 squared is 16, so that's going to make this 16 pi. So that's going to be approximately equal to what? Okay, so 16 pi, 50.27, got to round up. And I'll put units squared to reflect the fact that this is an area, not a length. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.